Welcome to the Warhammer Underworld's Learn to Play video. We're going to get you moving and attacking with your fighters and show you how to use your warband's decks of cards. My name's Nick, and I'll teach you the basics of the game so you'll be ready to claim the lost city of Shadespire in next to no time. In a game of Warhammer Underworlds, players are trying to score the most glory points. Whoever has the most at the end of the game wins. But before we look at how you claim those precious glory points, let's meet your fighters. Fighter cards are two-sided. One side shows a fighter as they are at the start of the game, while the other side shows the fighter when they become inspired. Don't worry about that for now, we'll explain that later on. Spread the fighter cards out so that you can see them all, and so the inspired or gold sides of the fighter cards are hidden and face down. Each fighter card has a picture in the top left-hand corner displaying the miniature that represents that fighter. Before you start this playthrough, place each miniature on its respective fighter card. In Warhammer Underworlds, each player will have two decks from which they'll draw cards during the game in their quest to claim glory points. A power deck contains 20 power cards with blue backs, and an objective deck contains 12 objective cards with gold backs. Together, these cards are known as a Rivals deck. Each warband in this starter set comes with its own complete Rivals deck. In this video, part of the game that would normally be random, the cards you draw and the dice you roll, are going to be fixed. We're going to set the board up like this. And with these starting hands of cards. Objective cards set challenges for you to accomplish during a game of Warhammer Underworlds. Power cards are either ploys or upgrades. Ploys have a dagger symbol in the top left-hand corner. You can use ploys during the game to cause instant effects on fighters or the battlefield. Upgrades have a cog symbol in the top left-hand corner. You can use upgrades to grant fighters permanent abilities that will last for the rest of the battle. So we're all set up, let's get stuck into the game. The Fast Riders player is taking the first turn. Their turn consists of an activation step followed by a power step. In the activation step, a player activates a fighter and then decides what action that fighter will take. We're going to activate Almeric Eagle Eye of the Fast Riders to make an attack action. Each fighter has one or more attack actions on their fighter cards. Almeric Eagle Eye actually has two. Each attack action has a range characteristic, which tells you how many hexes away from the attacker their target has to be. This fighter's charged pistol has a range of 3, so it can be used to target a fighter 1, 2, or 3 hexes away from it. Almeric Eagle Eye targets the Prince of Dust with his charged pistol. To make an attack roll, we roll the number of attack dice shown in the attack action's dice characteristic. Warhammer Underworlds use special dice that have symbols on them rather than numbers on each side. In this playthrough, we'll tell you what each player rolls. Almeric Eagle Eye's player rolls 3 dice for the charged pistol and gets the following results. To make the defense roll, the target's player rolls the number of defense dice shown on their fighter's defense characteristic, found on their fighter card. The Sepulchral Guard player rolls 1 dice, getting this result. The dice characteristic of an attack action and the defense characteristic of a fighter both include a symbol. Any results in the attack roll or defense roll that match those symbols are successes. Almeric Eagle Eye has 2 results which match his charged pistol's dice characteristic, so he has 2 successes. The Prince of Dust has 1 result that matches his defense characteristic, so he has 1 success. When the attacker rolls more successes than the target, the attack action succeeds. Otherwise, the attack action misses. So the attack action succeeds, and it's dealt the amount of damage shown in its damage characteristic. Almeric Eagle Eye's charged pistol has a damage characteristic of 1, so he deals 1 damage to the Prince of Dust. Note that even though there are 2 successes in the attack roll, the attack action only deals the damage once. When a fighter is dealt damage, take that number of wound counters and place them on that fighter's fighter card. A fighter is taken out of action when the number of wound counters on their fighter card is the same or more than the fighter's wounds characteristic. The Prince of Dust has 1 wound counter, but a wounds characteristic of 3, so he is not taken out of action yet. In the drive back step, a successful attacker can choose to push their target 1 hex away from them. Push the Prince of Dust back 1 hex as shown here. Eagle Eye's action and his activation are now over. Now it's time for the player controlling the Fast Riders to have their power step. In the power step, players can use ploys and upgrades, taking it in turns to do so. Alternatively, they can pass, choosing to do nothing at all. In this power step, both players pass. Neither player has a ploy they want to use at this point, and neither has any glory points which are needed to give fighters upgrades. The power step ends. The Sepulchral Guard player is taking their first turn. Just like the Fast Riders, their turn is an activation step followed by a power step. In the activation step, their player activates the Sepulchral Warden. Some fighter cards have unique actions on them, and the player uses one of these on the Sepulchral Warden's fighter card to choose two other friendly fighters, the Harvester and the Inevitable Petitioner, and make a move action with each of those fighters. To make a move action with a fighter, you simply move them up to a number of hexes equal to that fighter's move characteristic found on their fighter card. Then you give that fighter a move token to show it's made a move this round. Move the Harvester and the Inevitable Petitioner onto objective tokens, and place a move token next to each of them. Once you've done so, the Sepulchral Guard player's activation step is over, and it's time for their power step. In the power step, both players pass once again, and the Sepulchral Guard player's turn ends. You can activate the same fighter more than once in a round, and the Fast Riders player activates Almeric Eagle Eye once more. This time though, the fighter makes a charge action. A charge action combines two actions in one. It's a move action followed by an attack action. A fighter that already has a move token applied to it can't make a charge action. Move Almeric Eagle Eye next to the Prince of Dust and place a charge token next to him. When a fighter has a charge token, you can't normally activate them again in that round, so you've got to be really careful when and where you use your charges. Eagle Eye then makes an attack action using his Shock Hand Axe, following the same sequence as before. When we get to the stage of checking whether the target is out of action, we see now the Prince of Dust has 3 wound counters, which is equal to his wounds characteristic of 3. This means he's been taken out of action. Some cards have abilities called reactions that can be used at particular times when the condition on the card is met. The Sepulchral Guard player plays the Bone Shrapnel ploy, which can be played when a friendly fighter is taken out of action. To do so, they reveal the card from their hand and then deal 1 damage to Almeric Eagle Eye, placing 1 wound counter onto his fighter card. Finally, they put the power card face up next to their power card deck. This is the Sepulchral Guard's power discard pile. When a fighter is taken out of action, remove them from the battlefield, along with their tokens, and clear the counters off their fighter card. Almeric Eagle Eye's player gains 1 glory point for taking an enemy fighter out of action. Place a glory point token near the appropriate fighter cards, with the unspent side showing. When the target of an attack action is taken out of action, the attack action finishes. There's no drive back step. Fast Riders player's activation step is now over. After each activation step and each power step, there's a chance for fighters to become inspired. To see if a fighter becomes inspired, check the Inspire condition on the gold box on their fighter card. Here is Almeric Eagle Eye's Inspire condition. Eagle Eye has made 2 successful attack actions in this action phase, one with his charged pistol and one with his Shock Hand Axe, and he has met his Inspire condition. Flip his fighter card over to show the inspired side, which features a better defense characteristic and a more damaging Shock Hand Axe attack action. After each activation step and each power step, after any fighters that can do so have been inspired, players have the chance to score objective cards with the Surge keyword, as long as they meet the conditions on those objective cards. The Sepulchral Guard player looks at their objective cards and checks the condition for Land of the Dead. A warband holds an objective token if a fighter from that warband is in the same hex as that token. Thanks to the move actions that they made in their first activation step, the Sepulchral Guard player meets the condition on this card. Their warband holds objectives 3 and 4. The Sepulchral Guard player collects the number of glory points shown at the bottom of the Land of the Dead card, in this case 1, and puts it next to their fighter cards with the unspent side showing. Then they put the Land of the Dead card face up next to their objective card deck. This is the Sepulchral Guard's scored objective pile. When a player scores a Surge objective, they draw an objective card to replace it straight away. The Sepulchral Guard draws They Keep Coming and adds it to their hand. It's now the Fast Riders player's power step. Now that the players have started earning glory points, they're going to have a few more options available to them, and they spend their 1 glory point by flipping it over to show its spent side to give the overcharged Boltstorm pistol upgrade to Elias Swiftblade. place the upgrade card next to Swiftblade's fighter card to show that he now has that attack action for the rest of the game. Don't worry though, even though it's been spent, that glory point will count towards your total at the end of the game. Now it's the Sepulchral Guard's player's turn to play a power card or pass, and they also spend their 1 glory point to give the Deathly Charge upgrade to the champion. Place the upgrade card next to the champion's fighter card, where it will be for the rest of the game. It's the Fast Rider's player's turn to play a power card or pass, and they pass, as does the Sepulchral Guard player, bringing the power step to an end. So now we've shown you the 3 key actions in Warhammer Underworlds: move, attack, and charge. You can either take your next activations yourself, or you can follow along with the Read This First booklet found in the Warhammer Underworld starter set. After each player has taken 4 activations, you enter the end phase. This is where you can score objective cards, discard any objectives and power cards you don't want to keep, and then replenish your hands back up from your deck. After 3 complete rounds, the player with the most glory points, regardless of whether they're spent or unspent, wins the game. This is just a taste of the wonderful game that is Warhammer Underworlds. To learn more about the setting and the rules, be sure to read through the rulebook that comes with the Warhammer Underworld starter set. There are loads of other warbands available, each with its own unique playstyle to master. However you want to play the game, you'll find one that suits you, and you'll be conquering the Mirrored City in next to no time. I hope you've enjoyed watching this first step into Warhammer Underworlds, and good luck in the Shattered City.